Hey guys, this is Stu here, and I have a special little list for you today. As you can tell by the title up there, I'm doing my top 20 favorite video games of all time. This list is a result of talking to a friend on Skype. He asked me what my favorite game is, or my games are, and I said, well, I can't really pick one off the top of my head. There's too many I like. I'd have to think about it for too long. So I'm addressing that question he asked me with this video. Now, I know you're listening to this, Maz. That's who asked me. You can see him on my channel or in my subscriptions and on my subscribers, whatever. I don't know where you can look. You can look any of that up anymore. But you will see him around me frequently. He is someone I've known for many years on the internet, and we talk a lot. Anyway, so to get right into it, I have a whole mess of games over here on my bed right now with me. I have literally almost every game I own, which is a number of games. Yeah, too many. And there's even some I didn't even get to, I haven't even done actually yet, like my Game Boy Color games, but that's only because I have two. And they're both the Legend of Zelda games. This one's Oracle of Seasons, and the other one's Oracle of Ages. So I can't really do those. I don't have any Game Boy games. I only have those two Game Boy Color games. I have a plethora of Game Boy Advance games. This one's actually on the top 20. I'm going to be pulling them out of this big, giant honkin' stack. This includes 3DS games, GBA games, Wii games, DS games, PS3 games, PSP, one NES game. Here it is in my hand, the one NES game. And as you can see, it's not a gold cartridge, so it's not Legend of Zelda. Although actually I could have done that because there are some on this. I didn't consider that actually. I'm gonna put a game in this thing, put that game back, that game in there, and I'm doing that. Some of these are placed higher because I've been recently playing them, such as White 2, which I'm still playing, although I have judged it. Metroid Zero Mission, which I just finished playing through a second time this morning. There will be some in here that have multiple entries, such as, oh yeah, I just put it in there, such as Final Fantasy IV or Ocarina of Time. This one doesn't. This just is one of the games I considered. It does have an entry, but not this specific version. Specifically, the one that made it is evading me right now. This one. So I haven't really done anything. I just kind of explained it so far. So I think I'll explain it, and we'll get right into this list. I'm gonna move my little window to see what I'm recording off to the side over here, on this side of my screen. It's the opposite side for what it's showing, whatever. So we'll start at the bottom, since I want to make some suspense for this list. Oh darn it, that's not what I wanted. There we go. So starting off, the 20th game is, why don't I just get the game box, since the game box is bigger than the actual cartridge. Yeah, it's a cartridge game. Sonic Generations for 3DS. I don't own the console version. I had some fun playing this. I beat it in like 2 nights, unfortunately, because it's only 8 levels long, with each having 3 acts or whatever. You know, Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant, whatever. I don't know the exact levels in there, so I can't give that a specific name, but I just enjoyed it. I'm not going to defend each of these super long because, like I said, this is my top 20, so there's a lot of games to go through. It was kind of nostalgic seeing some of the older stages I played, or some of the more recent ones from games that are actually on this list also, I think. I don't see one up on here, and I can see from 20 to 5 from right here. They were at least considered. Yeah, this is the only Sonic game on there, unless it's not in the top 4. So I just particularly enjoyed it. The final boss was a bit tricky and hard to figure out. Some of the levels were a little bit too hard. I feel one of them is a Sonic Rush level, and I felt it was too hard. Despite being fairly late in the game, it seemed a little cheaply challenging. Not fair, as in I felt like I was dying unfairly, which is part of the reason why it stays low, and because I just didn't enjoy it as much as other games, such as my next one, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. And I actually just thought about this now. I didn't even consider Metroid Prime. So, oh well, I forgot to do one game. That would place much higher on the list. Actually, that would be like top 10 at least. So, maybe next time I'll remake this. Maybe next time I remake this list or whatever. Or well, this will be. How about I do one of these a year? This will be my 2012 version. Um, the next game I actually don't have a physical hard copy of, so it will be represented by my PSP because that is what I play it on. I could do it on my PS3, but this is a lot smaller. The next game is Final Fantasy VII. Bit controversial. A lot of people don't. They have mixed feelings about the game, obviously, so you can't say I'm not a bit biased. I do like the game, but I like it for it being a good game. Not because the main character is too whiny or the main antagonist is a mama's boy, as some people like to say. I don't think that whatsoever. Personally, I think they're just characters being characters, and I think some of them have legitimate reasons. I mean, if I were Cloud and I had all that happen to me, I think I'd have a little bit of right to complain about how bad my life's been. I mean, I'm going around fighting monsters. I'm having to go through dangerous dungeons or ancient temples. I'm getting brain controlled by a psychopath who wants to destroy the world. I got experimented on, so I don't know why Cloud. Some people think Cloud doesn't have the right to complain, but I think they'd be complaining a lot if that happened to them. Moving on, the next game is a little bit more recent than those previous three. ACB, number 17 on my list. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was essentially where Assassin's Creed started its downhill trend. Now, it's not to say this is a bad game whatsoever. This is still a very good game. It's arguably what the first or second best in the series. Main competitor being Assassin's Creed 2. Now, the reason I place this so low is I just like the other games a little bit more. I had fun with this. I didn't like how you actually had to run around Rome doing it. Now it made sense that you had to, but it was sometimes a little hard to get around to places, and the major buildings really, like the Pantheon, they seem like they're way too expensive and gave you way too little. If they're gonna be costing you a lot of money, like 100,000 money, they should give you a lot at least. I'm talking like 10,000 every 20 minutes or whatever, with what, and it costs 100,000. Say like a tenth of the price should be what you make. You get like 1,000 from the Pantheon, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't played Brotherhood in a while, just because AC3 came out recently. So, and Revelations after that. So it's been a little bit, but I just can't place it higher. The next game I again have to look for because there it is, buried a little. Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword was obviously the newest Zelda game. It's slightly, you either love it or you hate it kind of game. I've seen some people who are in between and do like it. I for one am one that loved it. I kind of liked the idea. The controls seemed fine to me just until they went off kilter, but that's a simple matter of just readjusting them. Simple little things like that don't really hurt me. I mean, I look past those. I had an overall enjoyable time playing the game. The final boss was a piece of cake. I do admit that. I wish the final boss was harder. I find him insanely easy to beat. I don't know if it's just me, if I'm just, for some reason, weirdly good at the combat, or what. But that's just why I enjoyed this one. I can't say much about it. I just had a fun time playing. That's what I look for when I'm playing games. I don't care about what the game looks like. A lot of people complain Skyward Sword has very pixelated, edgy graphics. They're not smooth edges. They're kind of things. Like I've been seeing in my Arkham City videos, Batman's cowl at the back. You can see these kind of jagged lines going around his where the cowl should be. It's just in a video of a video game, like for an LP, that doesn't fly. But I mean, in the game, that depends on your TV. That depend. Well, I take that back because that came out wrong. I should say. What matters is what your TV. And I mean, on my TV, he looks fine. I mean, I don't know what anyone's talking about. Why they think all the edges are jagged? They look pretty smooth to me. I mean, yeah, I can see a few edges like once in a while in Twilight Princess, but that game also plays in a lower output than this. And my TV was the old one I'm comparing that to, and that's the TV I have now is a much higher output. And Twilight Princess is just fine, so I don't see what the problem is. Moving on to, speaking of GameCube games, another Zelda game. This is my GameStop box. For those of you who can't obviously tell, I'm going to pull the CD out. It is The Legend of Zelda, Collector's Disc. Now, the reason this place is so high, and like I said, Ocarina of Time had an entry in here for one of those kind of games, is I do love the games on here. This has the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and a Wind Waker demo. The only reason this kind of goes so low is because there are some issues. Majora's Mask does have a tendency to lag a little. Zelda 1 doesn't control that well. Zelda 2 is even worse at controlling. Ocarina of Time is not my favorite version of Ocarina of Time on here. I like the 3DS version more. Hint, hint. It's just... It has some flaws for its emulation of the N64, and that's where I find it to be held back. But otherwise, this is great that it has so many games on it, and I really do like that. And I have a blast playing most of them. Zelda 1 and 2 are just kind of, okay, I'm bored, let's beat something in 2 hours kind of game, you know? The next one up on the list is a DS game. There it is. One of my more favorite ones. I've actually talked to a friend about this one, possibly lending him it. It is Mega Man Zero Collection. I got this the day it came out, because I got into Mega Man Zero. The only one I could find at my GameStop was Mega Man Zero 1. And I played it, and I really enjoyed it. It plays very similar to the Mega Man X games. It plays almost exactly like it. Only a few minor mechanics are different, like you don't get sub-weapons, you get weapon chips, and you get other weapons, such as the recoil rod, the chain rod, the Zero Knuckles, to name a few. 3 of the 4 specials. Some of the special ones, 3 of the 4 unique ones per game. The one that changes. You get the Shield Boomerang, the Z Saber, the Z Buster. That's most of the weapons you get, and then you can equip fire, electric, or ice chips on them. It's just an all-around great game, and you've got the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one all on this one little tiny DS cartridge. That's white too, actually. And then I can take it on my 3DS with me wherever I want, and I have 4 games sitting right there ready to play if I want to. And then it's got the easy scenario, which is a slightly easier version for new people or anyone who just wants to play through all 4 of the games consecutively. There is each individual game itself. There are the e-reader cards that you can get for 0-3. There's just all kinds of stuff on there, and it's such a good game. I can't say I like it enough. The next game is a bit nostalgic, and I'm going to possibly get flamed a little for putting it a little lower on the list. It's a remake. It is Pokemon Fire Red. Pokemon Fire Red is a remake of the original Pokemon Red, which, actually now I just think about it, I lied. I do own Pokemon Red. It's sitting over in my game drawer. wow, I forgot a lot of games to even consider. It took the original, gave it the engine from the third generation Pokemon games. It included all up to the Pokemon for third generation. It updated the graphics. It added in the female green, depending on which region you live on, green or blue. Is it? Was she blue in the? I know originally there was the Gary Oak or the rival. The first one was green in Japan and blue here. Was she blue in Japan for leaf green or something? I don't know. All I know is that you play as either Pokemon play as red or her. She might be yellow. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. I consider her to be green. I consider Gary to be blue. So I don't know. It was just a good little game, and it was my chance to play the Kanto region games for the first time ever. Because at that time, all I'd ever owned were Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Actually, no, I think I may have gotten Emerald after this, so it's just Ruby and Sapphire. It was fun. I did enjoy it. It was a good game. It still is, just as much as Red and Blue are today, even. Going up, we are going way further ahead in Nintendo's history. I'll just use the box. The more recently released Pokemon Black. Pokemon Black. This game is controversial. People think the Pokemon designs are cool or weird. They think the story's stupid or cool. They made racist jokes about the games, or at least my friends did. The legendary Pokemon were surprisingly creative for the generation. A legendary dragon that was split into two, and an alien dragon or whatever that came down in a nice ball meteor and attacks a town. The beasts, dogs, deer, whatever they are that you can catch, they're kind of like the legendary beasts from Johto. I'm not sure what they are. The ones that know a Sacred Sword, or in Keldio's case, Sacred Sword? I think that's what the move's called. I don't know. I haven't used Keldeo in a while. It was a fresh new take on Pokemon. It was the first time I've ever seen nothing but new Pokemon. The only other time I've ever done that was Pokemon Sapphire. Because obviously in Ruby I'd seen all the Generation 1, 2, and 3 Pokemon that Sapphire had in it. I never saw a new Pokemon in Fire Red or Pokemon I hadn't seen before. Fourth generation came out, and those obviously still had old generation Pokemon. Heart Gold, same story. I'd seen some Pokemon prior, so it was the first game in a long time where I hadn't seen, where the game was nothing but new Pokemon. So I was going into it completely blind, not knowing anything about any Pokemon. I ended up being lucky. I remember I used a Zebstrika, Emboar. I forget my team. I just remember Zebstrika and Emboar. Some of the things I didn't like is how Black City and White City are maintained by connecting to other versions, and there's no way to fix it unless you have both. Thankfully, I do. And I also now own White too, so there's some more people in the system for me. I do have friends who own other ones, but my only friend who I frequently talk to has Pokemon Black and Pokemon White too, so I'll have White over him. Or not over him, but that he doesn't. Alright, so let's see, that was Pokemon Black. Let's see if we can get the first half of this list done, and then I'll call it part 1. So after that, the next game is also going to be represented by this, because it's the system I played on. This one is actually only on this one. This is the second to last. Is that it? Okay, no, that's a different game. This is the last Mega Man game, my favorite Mega Man game. This is Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. It is a Mega Man Memory Hunter X is a update and port of the original Mega Man X, which was a highly successful game for the SNES back in the 90s. I have Mega Man X Collection, but I'm currently lending that to the same friend who I talked about Pokemon, so I can't show you it. Uh, Basically, it was just a revamp of Mega Man Classic. It took the Mega Man Classic style and formula and updated it and changed it. You could now climb walls all of a sudden. Your E-tanks were now, you had to find them. There were only four, but they were reusable, refillable. The weapons were made a little bit more interesting. X is a lot more agile, a lot quicker. His Buster was a little bit better, I believe. I'm not sure. The enemies were new and cool. They were more based on animals than men or random objects like Cut Man, Bomb Man. You know, you had weird maverick names like Armored Armadillo to speak one. Speak of one, you had Duck McWhalen for a later Mega Man game or Mega Man X game. There's just all these new bosses, and then you got a new main villain who was Sigma, who later became more known than Dr. Wily. But it was just a fresh new game, and this is a 3D update of it. It runs fine. I can speed run the game on hard, just about. You can play as Vile once you beat the game. You can do all the stuff. You get a little half-hour cartoon, anime, OVA, whatever you want to call it. You get Mega Man Powered Up demo. You get all this stuff on it. That's literally a lot. There's a lot of stuff on one little game, and it fits all on one nice little disc, or in my case, a digital copy. Anyway, this has been part 1 of my top 20 video games. I'll finish this and let it upload to YouTube, and in a few minutes, or after this, I will now begin recording part 1 or 2. See you guys next time.